Hello guys, and welcome back to another one of my favorite levels in this game. I think this one, it's 2-3 and it's called Trash Island. And this beginning section is why it was my favorite. Not because there are large waves of ants that you just get to clear out with massive explosions, but because I had the biggest explosion in the game at this level. I was using the pesticide cannon from whichever class I was playing on the Xbox. So I'd basically fire it at that building back there, and it would take out all of the ants over here along with any that had gotten up into the streets. It was absolutely fantastic. And I just realized I have a pretty bad setup for this level's sort of middle section. There are a lot of flying enemies that you'll have to deal with, so it's advisable to bring something that has some kind of lock-on. However, you will want something that has single target lock-on for this. And maybe not even necessarily lock-on, but at least single target, just kind of nuke damage. Because we're going to be facing another one of the spider characters from 1.5, and you need to be able to deal damage to the carrier. And using a grenade launcher, as long as you're the flight class, you can actually hover up and get a few rounds in, which has the added benefit of taking out everything that drops from it. However, it's tricky to do, and it absolutely drains your energy, so if you mismanage it, you're basically winding up just taking extra damage, making it longer than it needs to be, exposing yourself to the risk of death. My teammate just shot me there.
Looks like this one is good.
Actually, yeah, they took each other out.
Unfortunately, crew is KIA.
Crew is KIA. Yeah, you said it, lady. It actually got really annoying once I got to level 7, because your allies will also level up with you. So, there you go. As you see, a lot of flying enemies. So we're basically going to have to rely on our AI, which is not a good idea, or get a few lucky shots in, kind of like we're doing now. A lot of times it will stay still to just take a shot at you or someone else, so you need to capitalize on that opportunity to take one of them out, or you can just try and smartly lead your shots. Usually, I feel like I should stop taking my shots now because I just hit like 3 in a row, whatever it was. So I feel like the next one clearly is just going to be a whiff. Now I'm nervous. I can't do it. I did it. But we're going to be dealing with a lot of that. But as I was saying, your teammates do level up with you, and this includes the gear that they gain. Unfortunately, their AI is pretty terrible at managing the gear, and yes, that was intentional. I wanted to get them back up to full health, and there weren't enough health packs to do it, so I'm just going to revive. This is a game that does have tactical suicides, which is interesting. I'm not going to say it's good. See, that's what I was talking about. They do not know how to use their weapons, so they will get you caught in the blast radius, which feels a little bit cheap on the harder difficulties. Anytime that you're dying and it's not influenced by the massive amount of insects on screen, you're just kind of, really? You couldn't have done a better job of making them not shoot me in the back. And sometimes you run in front of them, but sometimes they're just firing a gun that they have no right to shoot. Oh, this is a good opportunity. Yeah, you can see we got a double with the explosion from our gun. So that was actually pretty fortunate. Man. This game must be really generous with its aiming, because I swear, I'm not this accurate. Ah, there we go. Now I get to look how accurate I am with this grenade launcher, guys. I'm pretty sure everyone that I've fired has hit something. Yeah, it's a 30-unit explosion. I forget whether it's in feet or meters, but either way, it's basically at the edge of being suicidal, which I think is what really makes the weapons in this game fun. When you basically have to manage the space between you and the enemy to ensure that you don't kill yourself, it's great. I believe the rocket has a 20-meter explosion right now, so not as impressive. And here we get Hectors, and I'm not sure with these guys what our better source of damage is. I'm not sure what the critical damage application to their chest is. Oh, and actually, I was going to say, paying attention to my cat. I was going to say, I mentioned this level in the last video because I thought that it was an earlier level. Turns out it is not. Man, my teammates are dying, which is funny because this is not on a difficult that is really too difficult for them. I was trying to come up with a better way of phrasing that didn't sound so dumb. Unfortunately, I failed. But yeah, I mentioned this video. This video in the last video because I thought that we had already been there. But I do like this level. It's also pretty fun. There's a lot of variety going on with it. they give you this wide open space just for kind of fighting things. You get a little turret section, as we're going to see up here, and then we get another boss fight. So it's a decent amount of variety in a game that kind of screams out for it. So we're going to go ahead and board this in a cutscene, because they couldn't have been bothered to have an actual boarding button or location. And just like the first level, we get a little turret section, except for this time we're against spiders. It's worth noting, pick up any health packs that were around the level beforehand for armor, because you will not be able to pick them up once you leave. The guy who's speaking is Sully, and he has some humorous lines, but I'm going to talk over them.
Please fasten your seatbelts and prepare for takeoff. Alright, the LZ looks a little warm to me. How about you lightning gentlemen see if you can hose it down and cool it off a little bit for me, please?
On Inferno, that plane is absolutely crawling with ants. Now, there's two kind of schools of thought. The first being that you can use your jets to get a tactical advantage jumping from rooftop to rooftop. That hardly works out, so I just generally advise blow up all the buildings around the area, get yourself a nice little section to fight on. Makes life a little bit easier when the actual fighting starts. So in some of these buildings you can see they're still standing, but we'll fix that. You can also use this just to kind of clear it out with a little bit more ammo efficiency, although slightly smaller AoE, because I think the 30 meters that I mentioned, 30 feet that I mentioned, is based off of a single grenade projectile, and they have a little bit of a spread to them, so it probably covers somewhere in the 50-ish range. Because that's what matters. It's not a game about fighting bugs, it's a game about numbers and explosion radiuses and tactical positioning.
Receiving data. Lightning, the lander is FUBAR, but
Definitely harkens back to the days of something like Doom or Serious Sam. I say harkens back to the days, and then I mentioned Serious Sam, which is a much more modern thing, but you get what I'm saying. Occasionally there will be a concrete barrier here. If you don't take it out, you just have to kind of trust me that you're going to be looking this way a lot, so you'll often back into it, so generally good idea to blow that up as well. It looks like we've cleared out everything on this island except for a few Ravagers. Once we clear those out, then we get introduced to a boss. I wonder what it could be. Oh wait, it's just a giant spider. Yawn, nothing we haven't seen here. Giant robotic spider. Now this is actually really difficult on Inferno because, as I was mentioning in the previous video, it can be kind of a painstaking process to take it out. It really isn't a matter of it being difficult, it just drops a lot of enemies that you have to focus down, and then you have to be able to deal damage to its soft, squishy underbelly. And I was ill-equipped for that, usually because you want to have the ability to take out a bunch of those chips in the first part. You want a weapon that spreads out your damage across multiple enemies. However, in this case, you definitely want to be able to do a lot of single target damage, so it kind of forces your weapons to be a little bit more spread out than they would be otherwise, unless you took something like a machine gun, or just took out the ship enemies with something like what I'm using here. So, just have to be wary, as always, what are the enemies that you're going to be fighting, and what's the best counter for them. I get off a little bit light because I'm playing on a difficulty lower and I've been grinding. But as you can see, it's dropping more spiders. These are actually special spiders because they are robot spiders. So we're actually going to see a bunch of different kind of evolutions of the enemies that we've already faced. There are robot spiders, there are going to be robot ants, and there are robot wasps that are the bane of my existence. They are absolutely the most vicious enemies in the game. I'm pretty sure they may not be able to one-shot you, but they can come pretty close. They have an attack that makes it so that you can't move until a teammate shoots them off of you. Teammates will also refuse to shoot them off of you because they're too busy fighting off more giant wasps. So it's dicey, is what I'm getting at. But this is actually the last part of the level, so as soon as we blow this up, we should be clear just to mop up the remainder and get off the island. Looks like just a few more shots is going to do it. This guy actually does have the ability to drop the same bombs that the carriers were dropping in, I think it was 1-3, something like that. But this time around, he didn't get the chance because we blew him up too fast. So let's pick up a shiny new weapon crate, see what we didn't get. Alright,
That's the last of
that
them,
ends
Lightning.
this level.
Good job.
Now we get to head over to the waypoint for extraction, move on to the next one. So, after a little bit of jetting over and a little bit of waiting, you can see on the square we've got our pilot who's going to extract us out, so probably have to wait
And
for
we
him
are
too.
beginning our final descent to the island.
And
Please
let's troll our
extinguish all
teammates a bit.
smoking materials.
Oh wow. They must be on a slightly lower difficulty's health. That must explain it. So there you go. That is Trash Island. No new items. I will see you guys next time.